Hi, it's Tanya from My Forking Life, and today we're in the kitchen and we are making the creamiest of cream of mushroom soups. Now this is a delicious homemade version that you can make with a few simple ingredients. It takes a teeny little bit of time, but the results are super delicious. Now don't forget to subscribe if you want to get notified when I upload new videos. All right, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to use baby bella mushrooms, the little small ones. I have already rinsed and cleaned these. I'm also going to use celery, onion, butter. Gotta have butter in your soup, flour, marjoram, thyme, chicken broth, low sodium chicken broth, and some heavy cream and salt and pepper to finish it off. So I'm going to get started by chopping these. Now of course you can probably already buy these like sliced, but I like to give them a little bit of a chunk myself. I also like to roast my mushrooms just to make sure that they're all nice and clean. Alright, now that I finally got all my mushrooms nice and sliced, I'm going to go ahead and chop an onion as well as a celery stick. Ugh, my eyes are watering. Now that we've got all our veggies chopped and prepped, let's get to the cooking. All right, I'm gonna move this out of my way. So I've got here a large heavy bottom pot, see, heavy on the bottom, and I'm gonna set that over medium heat. And I'm gonna add about 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter to the bottom of that pot, and I'm just gonna let it melt. Alright, so now that my butter has melted, I'm going to go ahead and just add my onions and celery. I'm going to stir this for about 4 minutes until they're, nice and softened. Alright, so it's been about 4 minutes. Those onions and that celery, that onion and that celery has softened a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add the chopped mushrooms. It's a lot. Just plop them in there. I'm also going to add my herbs to that, my dry herbs, my thyme, and my marjoram. Just sprinkle them in there as well. And we're going to do a big stir. Try to get that all mixed in there. And what we're going to do at this stage is pretty much just cook this down. So we're going to cook it for about 10 to 15 minutes. What you'll notice is that your mushrooms, onions, and celery are going to start to release a lot of liquid, and they're going to basically reduce in size. And that's going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to get it to about the size that we want for this soup. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes, and as promised, those mushrooms have reduced and there's a good bit of liquid in there. So what we're going to do at this time is sprinkle over those 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to kind of thicken that up just a little bit. Oh, that's a lot. And it's going to look really gunky, but it's okay. And we want to do this for about 2 minutes to make sure that flour gets nice and cooked off. If you don't cook it for 2 minutes, what happens is that you probably could taste flour. So we don't want to do that. So stir it up until that flour is, you can't see it, and just kind of keep stirring it, making sure that that flour gets cooked. And now that I've cooked that flour off, I'm going to go ahead and pour in about 4 cups of chicken broth. This is low sodium chicken broth so that I can control the amount of salt that I add later. So I'm going to pour a little bit first and deglaze the bottom of this pot. Try to get some of those bits off. Throw it all in there. So I'm gonna let this come to a simmer and simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. So, and I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna go do something else and kind of peek in and peek out. And then stir it sometimes. Yeah. All right, so we have been simmering for about 15 minutes. And as you can see, it's got nice and thick consistency. So we're almost done. I'm gonna reduce my heat to low. And I'm going to stir in some heavy cream. Stir that in. Ooh. It's my favorite part. I love adding heavy cream to soups. It brings me joy. All right, and I'm going to let this heat through for about an additional 5 minutes. And I'm going to, of course, taste it and salt and pepper it until it is my desired saltiness, pepperiness. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes, and I'm just gonna taste this soup with a baby spoon and decide if it needs salt and pepper after I taste it. Yep, it needs both. Just a little bit. Add a little bit of salt. And of course, freshly cracked black pepper. Perfection. And what you could do at this point, if you want a smoother soup, you can totally go ahead, put it in a blender and roll it around or use an immersion blender. But I like to have nice, thick, chunks of mushroom in my soup, so I kind of just leave it as is. And there you have it. Delicious, creamy cream of mushroom soup. All right, until the next time.